Well, greetings and salutations again, everybody. Welcome to this installment of Open Mic, the show where the mic is open, the floor is yours. What do you guys want to talk about? That's what we're here to discuss. My name, of course, is John Campea. And for those of you who were watching live or watching live a little bit earlier, this is our second go at trying to get this live stream going. We did a complete overhaul of a lot of the tech in our studio, and this is my first time trying to do a live stream with the new system. And so hopefully we won't have any problems. We had a little problems when we tried to do the stream a little bit earlier. Hopefully we've got them all fixed. People in the live chat are saying the sound is better. Hopefully we've got it fixed, and hopefully we won't have any more issues. I make no guarantees. Again, this is my first time doing a live stream with the new setup, and hopefully everything goes good. Anyway, guys, here's how Open Mic goes. We really basically spend all of our time here on Open Mic taking your live comments and questions. If you guys have a topic or question you'd like me to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature. That means you got to be watching this live. But if you are watching live and you have a topic you'd like me to talk about, go ahead and throw it on into the super chat. And as long as I deem the question or topic you send in to be appropriate to be used on the show, remember, I reserve the right to not address a topic or question if I consider it not appropriate for the show. But if you do, send one in and we'll address it here on the show. All right. Now, for getting this thing kicked off here, we always start Open Mic with a topic that I like to address. And I started getting into it on the previous stream, but I'll start over here. And the topic that I want to talk about here today, as you saw in the title of it, is about the importance of Fantastic Four to Marvel, both financially and from a critical point of view. Because, of course, it is weird to think about that we are on the verge of having Fantastic Four come out. I mean, I think they announced it like 5 years ago. So it was either 5 or 4 years ago that they announced it. And here we are now, like less than 2 weeks away from, or less than 2 months away from Fantastic Four finally coming out. Now, somebody wrote into me and asked something that a lot of other people have asked, but they just recently asked, like the other day, like, how important is it that this movie do well? Now, here's the thing. In today's world of everything is either 10 or 0, whenever the topic comes up of how important is this movie to its franchise, everybody always says 10. It's the most important thing. Every movie coming out is the most important thing. There's no, because anything that's an 8 is actually a 0. Anything that's a 9 is actually a 0. Anything that's a 9.5, okay, that's 10. And of course, 10 is 10. And that's how everybody sees it. But I thought we would talk just a few minutes before we get into the live questions about just how important is Fantastic Four to it. And to do that, I want us to start by laying some context, laying a little bit of groundwork. So let's look at how the most recent Marvel Cinematic Universe films have done, and then we'll talk about how all that sets the stage for how important the new Fantastic Four movie is, or maybe not all that important for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let's go over and take a look. So for recent MCU, we're of course talking about Thunderbolts, that did $360.1 million at the box office, even though the movie was absolutely fantastic and 88%. Now, I've been saying for over a year, and people said I was crazy. I said, don't expect Thunderbolts to do all that great. I mean, I thought it would make, just to be clear, I thought it would make more than it has. Okay, just full disclosure. But I told people for over a year, don't expect this movie to do huge numbers because, you know, it's a bunch of C and D level throwaway, you know, leftover characters from other movies and some from Disney Plus TV shows. Like they didn't even have the advantage of being like Guardians of the Galaxy, where maybe nobody was really familiar with them, but they were brand new. We didn't already see the characters of Guardians of the Galaxy as unimportant second, third, fourth level characters from some throwaway Disney Plus show or from another Marvel movie. Right? Another thing that I think is key, by the way, Edge Tan just gifted a membership to somebody in there. Thank you for that, EJ. I appreciate that, dude. Another thing to keep in mind, too, is the performance of Captain America Brave New World. Now, Captain America Brave New World made $395 million. Why did it only make $395 million? Well, because the movie was terrible. I mean, it's got a 69%. And again, all film is subjective, and I've got no issue with somebody watching that movie and enjoying it. I love it if people watch that movie and had a good time with it. I'm jealous because I wish I did. But to me, the movie was not a dumpster fire, but it wasn't very good. It was quite a disappointing movie. Anthony Mackie deserved better. He deserved a better script. He deserved a better story. He deserved to have a movie where he wasn't in a Hulk movie. He deserved a Captain America movie, not a Hulk movie. Anyway, that being said, I think the poor quality of Captain America Brave New World, I think that left a bad taste in people's mouths. And while I don't think it's the main thing, but I do think it's a contributing factor that people went to go see, the newest MCU movie. It was Captain America Brave New World, and it wasn't very good. So it didn't exactly inspire them to rush out and see the next MCU movie. Again, not the main thing. I'm not saying it's the main thing at all, but I do believe it's around that. Anyway, then before that, we had Deadpool and Wolverine, which of course is like the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, bringing in $1.34 billion. Ryan Reynolds does it again. Then we've got the Marvels, only made like $206 million. I mean, we've waxed poetic about all the... listen, I'm not going to defend the Marvels, but I don't think that movie is nearly as bad as some people make it out to be. I think it's a better movie than Captain America Brave New World. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't even think it's a particularly good movie. But I think that movie was better than the rep it got. But we've waxed poetic a lot on this show about, the different reasons why it didn't do so well at the box office. But again, not one of their better films. Then, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Huge hit for them. Huge hit for them. And I mean, kind of showcased that the movie going audience, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a great example to me of the audience being there and being ready for a great, a lot of people throw around the term like, comic book movie fatigue, long before Guardians of the Galaxy 3 came out. And one of the things that I always try to emphasize was the fact that it's not comic book movie fatigue, it's mediocre movie fatigue. And movies like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out, and it highlights that if you put out, something that people are really looking forward to, if you put out a film that is looks like it's well beyond the mediocrity we've been getting used to with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then people are going to come out, and they're going to come out in droves, much like they did for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which again made, $845 million. And of course, Deadpool and Wolverine. If there was comic book movie fatigue, Deadpool and Wolverine would not have broke the all-time box office record for the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. It was an event film that people are excited about. It's not comic book movie fatigue, it's mediocre movie fatigue. And unfortunately, over the past number of years, I'm a fan of the MCU, but the MCU has become a little bit more, they've been putting out more and more mediocre stuff. They've been putting out some great stuff. Absolutely. They've put out some great stuff, but they put out a lot more mediocre stuff than we're accustomed to them doing. And I think that had a huge thing with it. Again, more people keep wanting to argue with me. Like Nicholas is saying, no, it's comic book movie fatigue. If it was comic book movie fatigue, why did Deadpool and Wolverine make the highest grossing R-rated film of all time? If people were tired of comic book movies, they wouldn't have come out to Deadpool and Wolverine. If people were just tired of comic book movies, Guardians of the Galaxy wouldn't have made over $800 million. It's just statistical fact. You can't get around. That's numbers, man. That's numbers. If it was comic book movie fatigue, comic book movies wouldn't make money. But what we're seeing is a people getting tired of not being thrilled when they go to the movie theaters, of not being exhilarated and excited like they used to back in Marvel phases 1, 2, and 3. It's not a coincidence Like, people think it's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that we started to see the box office results overall of comic book movies start to slip when the quality of the MCU started to slip. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. People think that's just, wow, just after 20 plus movies, now the movies, they started to decline because the quality overall started to decline, right? And so you need a movie like Thunderbolts. This is why I talk about this about Superman all the time too. For Marvel, you need a movie like Thunderbolts to come out. And even though enthusiasm for the MCU overall is down because of mediocrity, even though we're coming off a less than stellar Captain America Brave New World, you know, the people who came out to see Thunderbolts loved it. And that's why I keep talking about this with Superman, right? With Superman, it's not important to Warner Brothers. It's not as important to Warner Brothers that the movie makes huge box office. I mean, if it does, great. What's more important, because they know they need to rehabilitate the image of DC. No Superman movies ever made $1 billion. No Superman movies ever come close to making $1 billion. But what they need is for people to love Superman, to build for future success. When you get a movie like Thunderbolts that is made, like, if you had told me a movie like Thunderbolts made up of throwaway characters from other secondary and third level leftover characters from other properties that nobody cared about, and it would still get close to $400 million, that's insane. That's good for them. Good for them. Marvel clearly wishes it made more, but the key thing for Marvel is when they're in the midst of having a reputation of being mediocre, they put out a great film, and that's going to help Fantastic Four. At least it'll help Fantastic Four have a decent opening. We'll see how good it does moving forward. All right. Then, of course, you had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was just crap. I mean, that was the worst film on this list. I think Captain America Brave New World was a good step up over Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I think The Marvels was much better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And that hurts me to say, because I am a fan of the Ant-Man franchise. I am a fan of that franchise. I love Ant-Man 1 and 2. 1 more than 2, but I do love both those movies. And Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania just thoroughly disappointed me. Like, everything about it. I mean, it wasn't the worst film I've seen in the last few years, but it was, man, I don't think it's quite as bad as Iron Man 2, but it's a pretty bad film. It's a pretty bad film. So that's the context that we're in right now. That's where we're at. Marvel has had a couple of big wins, Guardians, Deadpool, but they're also kind of soaked in a lot of mediocrity, and they have this image of mediocrity right now. Thankfully, Thunderbolts came out and got everybody talking like, oh my God, Marvel may be back. Marvel may be back. And that will certainly help Fantastic Four. How important is it for Fantastic Four? I'm going to say it depends on a couple of things. Depends on a couple of things. I think the importance of Fantastic Four is partially going to be determined by whether or not Spider-Man Brand New Day moves. Because remember, Spider-Man Brand New Day was supposed to come out after Avengers Doomsday. Well, they have moved Avengers Doomsday, and now, as of right now, Spider-Man Brand New Day is now coming out before Avengers Doomsday. Now, if that stays, and I'm not sure that it will, but theoretically speaking, if Spider-Man Brand New Day stays where it is and it comes out before Avengers Doomsday, then that lessens a little bit the importance of Fantastic Four doing well. Because hear me out. If Fantastic Four is the last MCU movie coming out before Avengers Doomsday, that increases the importance of the Fantastic Four movie. You want to go into Avengers Doomsday with some momentum, right? You want to go into Avengers Doomsday riding a high. You want to go into Avengers Doomsday coming off of Thunderbolts, everybody's loved it who saw it, and Fantastic Four, you want to have a winning streak going into Avengers Doomsday. If Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out before Doomsday, then it takes a little bit of that pressure off Fantastic Four. Then that pressure goes on Spider-Man. Now, again, Marvel has no say in when that Spider-Man movie comes out. They have no say. That's up to Sony. Sony will be the ones to decide when that Spider-Man movie is coming out. Now, hopefully, I mean, if it fits with the story properly, they'll move it after Doomsday, but it might be like Ant-Man 2. Remember, Ant-Man 2, the events took place before Infinity War, but then the post-credit scene became after it. So they literally could have released Ant-Man before Infinity War, or they could have released it afterwards. And it turns out they released it afterwards, but they could have released it before Infinity War and it wouldn't have made a difference. So maybe Spider-Man Brand New Day is the same way. Maybe Spider-Man Brand New Day is structured in such a way that you could release it either before or after Doomsday. I don't know, but it's going to be up to Sony to determine that. Anyway, let's get back to Fantastic Four. So if Spider-Man does indeed move, like I expect they will, to come out after Doomsday, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But if it does, and Fantastic Four ends up being the last MCU movie to come out before Doomsday, the importance of Fantastic Four being a critical hit is sky high. It's sky high. Because like I said, Marvel needs to roll into Doomsday riding a wave of momentum. They need Doomsday to take advantage of the positive momentum of Marvel and not try to fix the negative momentum of Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's how I kind of see it. How important is it to them that... So that's where I see the importance of how Fantastic Four does critically. Very important. Very important. Because you want to get that momentum. You want to engaged the rep of the MCU, because the rep of the MCU used to be great film after great film after great film after great film. That's not the case anymore. Now it's hit or miss. Sometimes you get a Deadpool, sometimes you get a Guardians 3, sometimes you get a Thunderbolts, but then sometimes you'll get an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Sometimes you'll get a Secret Invasion. Sometimes you'll get a Captain America Brave New World, right? The reputation used to be great film after great film after great film. The way I describe it, you guys have heard me say this, the way I describe it is, the way the MCU used to be was that every time a brand new MCU movie came out, you guys know what I'm going to say, we would expect it to be great, right? Back in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, when a brand new Marvel movie was coming out, we expected it to be great. Today, when a new Marvel movie comes out, we don't expect it to be great. We hope it'll be good. Do you see the difference between then and now? We've gone from every time a new Marvel movie comes out, expecting it to be great, to today, where we hope it'll be good. Marvel needs Fantastic Four to go over really well with the audience. More important than how much money it makes. Because you know what? People are going to go, oh, come on, John. But it's true. Think about this. It almost doesn't matter how much money Fantastic Four makes. It almost doesn't matter. I mean, obviously, Marvel would like it to make $800 million, but it almost doesn't matter. Because whatever money they don't make on Fantastic Four, they can easily make up for that in spades with Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, and all that kind of, and the new Spider-Man movie. They'll make up, I mean, they're going to have to split that money with Sony, but they're going to make up for that, whatever. It is far more important. And this is where Fantastic Four is kind of like Superman in that way. It is far more important to the studio that this movie be good and raises the reputation amongst the audience, raises the vibe from where it is right now. If it makes $300 million or $700 million? What the hell is $400 million to Marvel right now? Honestly. Especially when you got Doomsday and Secret Invasion and a new Spider-Man movie coming. $300 or $400 million here, there isn't their biggest worry. Their biggest worry right now is they got to get their reputation with their audience. They got to get their street cred, if you will, with the moviegoers back that they used to have with 1 through 3. Now, they're not going to do that all with just Fantastic Four, but it goes a long way if you can have a great Thunderbolts movie, which they made a great Thunderbolts movie, but now you got to follow it up, man. Because the Thunderbolts were just a bunch of C and D level characters who were leftovers from other films. This is the first family of comic books. This is the first family of like all of comic bookdom. It's the Fantastic Four. This is one you've been pumping and promoting for years. You got to knock it out of the park. And if they do, it'll go a long way to helping everything else that comes after it. But if it doesn't do great, if it's not all that good, if it's another mediocre thing, like, it was all right. If it's just another one of those, then any momentum that Thunderbolts gave us with increasing our view of the MCU, it's going to just lose it. And that's why I think it's super important. So that's why I think the importance of Fantastic Four, particularly if Spider-Man moves and comes out after Doomsday, is very important critically, but not as important financially. If it makes $400 million, okay. $700 million, it's $300 million. That's not a big deal to them right now, especially going into Avengers films. So I don't think the financial results of it are all that important, but I do think the critical ones are. Listen, it does Marvel no favors if Fantastic Four makes $800 million, but people didn't like it. Because you're going to lose more than that money on now the movies that people don't go to see later on. So I think it's actually much better for them to make sure that the movie's good. Anyway, that's just kind of my take on that. What do you guys think about the importance or lack thereof of how good or whatever the upcoming Fantastic Four movie is? Whatever you guys think, jump on down to the comments and let me know. All right. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? It's time for us to get on to the main reason why we're here, which is taking your live comments and questions. So let's get things started here. And we are starting off with, who are we starting with? I believe we're starting with, not the last batcher. We're starting off with Anthony C., who writes, John, I've seen reports circulating that Doomsday needs to make $2 billion. Okay, whoever's writing that are morons and just straight up bullshitting you or trying to paint a picture. Anyway, John, I've seen reports circulating that Doomsday needs to make $2 billion to break even. Whoever's writing that is just straight up lying to you or just completely fucking stupid. There's no third option. They're straight up lying or they're really dumb if they actually believe that. There's no third option to that. Needs to make $2 billion to break even. To quote Chris, for why this can't be true. It's not. Listen, for Doomsday to need $2 billion to break even, a couple of things would need to happen. Number one, Doomsday would need to cost $600 million to make. And they've never made a film for over 400. I don't even think they've ever made a film for 400 million, but forget 400 million. The production budget on Doomsday would need to be by far, like breaking the record by miles, would need to be $600 million. And to give you a little bit of perspective, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be off by a bit, but if I'm not mistaken, the most money Marvel has ever spent on the marketing campaign of a film was $200 million. Okay. And I think they spent that on Endgame. I believe that is the most they've ever spent on a marketing campaign. Not only would they need to spend $600 million on making Doomsday, They would then also need to spend over $500 million on the marketing. And even then, you're coming in still needing less than $2 billion to break even. You'll be getting close though. Once you take away the theatrical cut of the film, that like the by theatrical cut, I mean the cut of money that the theaters keep. Yeah, even if the budget of the film was $600 million, and even if they more than doubled the highest marketing spend they've ever done and spent $500 million on marketing, even then $2 billion would still be profitable. There is simply no truth to that whatsoever in a billion years. There's just no truth to that. And do you think, especially with his new let's be more financially responsible mindset, that Bob Iger would greenlight or would allow them to move forward with a movie that literally needed $2 billion to break even? It wouldn't happen. So now listen, it's going to need to make a lot of money to break even. Make no mistake, this is going to be an expensive film. This is going to be the first film where, see people say that movie needs $1 billion to break even. It's always bullshit. But Doomsday, it won't need $1 billion to break even, but it's going to get closer than any other film in history to needing This is a movie that's going to need to make a lot of money to break even. This is a movie this is the first time in history that you're going to be able to say if a movie makes $700 million, it didn't break even. I don't think there's ever been a film you could ever say that about. This will be that film. It's going to need to make a lot of money to break even, but it will not need nowhere near the same universe as needing $2 billion to break even. Won't need it. No, not at all. Does not need that. Anyway. All right. Let's keep going here. Next up, that was Anthony C. Next up, we got Keaton, who writes, I have a theory that Harvey Dent is going to play a big role with Bella Real in the Batman 2. He gets elected to clean up their city. Look, it's not that big of a theory to say one of the most popular Batman characters and villains of all time will be in the new movie. That's not that big of a theory. And it's certainly possible. Dent is a major, for several different reasons, is a major key character in all of Batman lore, right? Absolutely. So yeah, they could very well, but that's the traditional Harvey Dent story, right? I mean, that's basically what you just described as kind of the same Harvey Dent story that they did in The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises, right? Where he comes back. The Dark Knight. Where, Harvey Dent, I believe in Harvey Dent, and he's saying, and he's trying to clean up the city. I mean, that's the traditional Harvey Dent story. So they could go that way. They could. And I won't be surprised at all if they do. I haven't heard anything that suggests that's what they're doing quite yet. But at some point, if you're doing Batman, at some point you got to get around to Harvey Dent. And so maybe that's going to be in the Batman 2. All right. Thanks for that, Keaton. Next up, Keaton also writes, do you think the Marvel fanboys review bombing DC movies and vice versa has stopped since 2008? Or is it still a problem in movie fandom? I don't think it's as bad of an issue now. Now it's the little bottom dwellers with their political agendas that do that. And you see that. That's why, here's the thing. This is where it gets funny. I remember when Rotten Tomatoes took the great step of only letting user reviews count if you actually bought a ticket and they can verify that you saw the movie, right? That's how Rotten Tomatoes now displays when Rotten Tomatoes displays an audience rating. So let me jump over to Rotten Tomatoes here and just pull up an example for what we're talking about here. So we go over to Rotten Tomatoes. Let's pull up Karate Kid Legends for an example. Okay. So right here, you see beside the popcorn bucket, right? You got this 89%. 89%. Now, it also says right here, verified ratings. What that means is because Rotten Tomatoes is owned by the same company that owns Fandango, the number one movie ticketing app in the world, that also works with Regal and AMC's ticket purchasing, they can verify, or they will only count users who want to go and submit a user rating for people that they can confirm actually bought a movie ticket to go see it. That is a great thing. That is an awesome thing. Because, it just stops people from going in there and voting up or down movies that they never saw, just because you remember the big thing on IMDb. This is why you should never pay attention to IMDb's user ratings. Remember when The Dark Knight was out, right? I think it was sometime after The Dark Knight. A whole bunch of people online who'd never even seen The Godfather all organized and created this big movement online to everybody go to IMDb and downvote The Godfather so that the Batman movie can be the number one audience rated movie on there. Well, that's bullshit. That means there's really no validity to it then. If you've got a bunch of people running over there and casting votes for whatever their own agendas are, that they didn't even see the film, and they're going in and voting up or voting down movies they've never even seen, that's complete bullshit. It's complete bullshit. So, when Rotten Tomatoes made this adjustment and made this move to only have user things count if they're verified that they actually went to go see the movie, everybody loved it except the bottom dwellers. You could tell immediately who the people are complaining about. Oh, Rotten Tomatoes is trying to censor me. No, they're not. If you actually saw the movie, you can still go vote. I shouldn't have to see the movie to go and give it a thumbs down. That's kind of the point of user ratings. So we know if users liked it or didn't like it. And if you saw the movie and you didn't like it, fair play. Nothing wrong with that. You bought a ticket, you went to go see the movie, and you thought it was crap? No problem. Get on in there. Register your vote. Say it was crap. Nothing wrong with that. But it was very, very telling when you saw who the players online were that were complaining about Rotten Tomatoes. Kel Supri, setting it up so only people who actually watched the movie could say if they thought the movie was good or not. Shock. Anyway, so I thought that was very, very telling. Now, unfortunately, with Rotten Tomato user reviews, they can't do that for television shows. They can't. Rotten Tomatoes has no system in place to tell if you actually saw a television show that you're going in to do. So that's why for some TV shows now, whether it's on Disney Plus or HBO Max or NBC or whatever, people can still just go and organize review bombing. Because there's no way that Rotten Tomatoes can verify whether you watched a show or not. But that's why I tell people don't pay any attention to Rotten Tomatoes user reviews for TV shows, but you can rely on them for movies because they actually verify people saw them. Anyway. All right. Next up, who do we get next? We got Robert Presser, who writes, I loved the studio. Me too. That finale was insane. That statue had better bought Bryan Cranston a steak dinner after that scene. I died laughing after Dave said, call 911 right after the presentation. I'll tell you what, I heard all this hype and hoopla about, the studio, because I know a couple of people who saw the whole series before they aired it. And I got kind of hyped for it. And it's Seth Rogen, good Canadian kid, by the way. And I was expecting it to be good. I was expecting the studio to be good. I was not prepared for how good. I was not prepared for just how great that show was. I was thoroughly entertained by every single episode. And it is really crazy because as ridiculous as the show may be, you've heard some people say it's actually shockingly real. Believe that. Maybe exaggerate it a little bit, but believe the people who are inside the industry, because I'm close enough to it, to recognize every single scenario that happened in that thing. I've seen it happen. It's crazy how Seth Rogen was able to take real truth, crank it up a little bit, and made something so incredibly funny. It's just so great. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. All right. Next up, we got Tim R. who writes, Fantastic Four already has a runtime of 2 hours and 10 minutes per AMC posted on Wednesday. Nice. Reports of test screenings surfaced after. What is Feige looking for from the test? Oh, I have no idea. It could be, sometimes they'll do these test screenings and they'll do the whole movie test screening, and it's just one little detail they're waiting to see how people react to. It could be a minor detail, maybe not minor, but it could be one detail that happens halfway through the movie, and they're just looking because they have something else that they reshot that maybe they're going to switch in with, and they just want to see how that goes. I don't really know anytime you put it in there. One of the big reasons for test screenings too is not to change the movie. One of the big reasons for test screenings is to help marketing understand the direction they should go. Because they want to see what parts are people really enjoying. What parts are maybe people not enjoying so much. And that gives marketing a lot of information about what direction to go with their campaigns. Now, you're getting screenings this late with Fantastic Four. This movie's coming out in less than 2 months. It's too late to really change too much, and it's too late to set your marketing strategy. Maybe they got some notes for their last month that they'll push, but a lot of times test screenings would happen earlier than this. One of the big beneficiaries of that is for the marketing departments, usually for their benefit as well. All right. Next, we've got, that was Tim R, I believe. Yes, Tim R also writes, second question. I feel casual fans only come to the movies if it's a quote unquote event type movie like Deadpool and Wolverine. Is Fantastic Four up to that level? What do you think? First of all, I disagree. I don't think average film fans only go to event films. Not at all. Different things will appeal to different people. Average film fans will go to a movie that looks, for whatever reason, is appealing to them. It might be the subject matter. It might be one of the stars. It might be how good or bad a trailer was. Listen, different things appeal to different people. And average film fans will get up and go to the movies when they think they see something that particularly appeals to them. And yes, sometimes big event films do that. But still, your question of can Fantastic Four be considered a big event film? I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. Honestly, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Now, it's a separate question to say, should Fantastic Four be a big event film? That's a question, but it's a totally different question to say, is it a big event film? And I don't know that it is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think that you can consider Fantastic Four. Let me rephrase. I don't think I consider Fantastic Four to be a big major event film. That's just the way I kind of see it right now. Hopefully they can change that feeling. All right. Next up, we've got Connor, who writes, John, my birthday was recently. Happy belated birthday. When I started watching AMC Movie Talk, I was 14. I am now 24. 10 whole years. Thank you for all the great content. Yeah, man, I get reminded every day, dude, about how long I've been doing this. And I was doing it long before AMC. Like before AMC was the 4-year consideration, before 4-year consideration was the movie blog. The movie blog was really my big genesis, and I did that for years before I got, I got caught on to AMC. It's been a long ride, man. It's been a long ride. It's been 20, it has now been 22 years since I did my first post on the movie blog. A post about, oh, what was the name of the horse movie again? Oh, what was the name of the horse movie? The horse racing movie, Seabiscuit. That's what it was. My very, very first post that I ever did 22 years ago. This summer will be 22 years. I believe it's early July will be the 22-year anniversary since I made my first post on my brand new website, the movie blog. So yeah, dude, I've been doing this a long time. And every month I've been told, this is your last month, Campea. You're not going to last another month. Every month for the last 22 years. I've had rows of people telling me that I'm never going to last at this, that I'm never going to succeed. I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to do anything. You'll be gone in a month. I've been told that every single month for 22 years. And yeah, here we are. All right. Next up. Let's see. Where are we at here? And again, happy belated birthday, Connor. Next up, Connor also writes, also, visit the Field of Dreams in your van. Gotta go midsummer when the corn is high around August. Yeah, I for those of you who don't know, I am part of my retirement plan, because you guys know, many of you guys know, I should say, I was planning on retiring this year. This year was it. I was going to retire somewhere between when Superman comes out and the end of the year. Was going to be my retirement. But I got offered a new sponsorship deal, which was really good for us. A very, very attractive sponsorship deal. And part of my retirement plan was literally, I wanted, me and Ann, we wanted to get this like a camper van, like a van that you could kind of live in on the road a bit and go out a week at a time and just go travel Canada and the US. And I brought this up the other day, but I'll bring it up here again. And we got the van. I haven't gotten possession of it yet. I'm not getting possession of it for another couple of months, but this is the van. I absolutely love it. I was talking about it before last week. That's it. And the great thing about the van is that it's got like built-in Starlink into it. So it's got high-speed internet wherever I go. And I'm going to be able to be here in studio and do shows, but I'm also going to be able to go out on the road and do shows remotely from the road. Like Jonathan and Rob will be here in studio and then I'll remote in from the van and I'm still going to be able to do it. So I plan on traveling all over the country, all over Canada and the US. What we're going to do, for those of you who haven't heard, we're going to set up get-together screenings. So like, let's say I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. I'm just as an example. Hey guys, next Saturday, I'm going to be at the Pittsburgh Regal 14 at the 5:00 screening of Fantastic Four. So if you guys want to buy some tickets and come to that screening too, I'll be in there as well. And then I'm going to hang out front of the theater for like 45 minutes or an hour. And if you want to come and talk about the movie and say hi, take some pictures, that's where I'll be. And I plan on doing that all over the country. Now that we've got the van. So with the van and with the new sponsorship deal, it made it so I don't have to retire right now. And I'm going to get to still travel the country without retiring. So I'm not going to be doing this for another 5 years. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to at least be doing this for at least another 18 months. At least another 18 months before I retire. So, yeah, I'm very excited about it. And that's what our viewer was talking about when he said, you have to come see the Field of Dreams. So yes, that's the other thing I want to do when Ann and I start traveling. We want to visit famous movie sites. So we want to go to like all the big cities. We want to go to all the towns. We want to visit, as many of our viewers as we can. We want to go and visit famous movie sites. I'm just very excited. I'm very excited about it. Mike is saying, come to Toronto. Dude, I'm from that area. Of course I'm going to be coming to Toronto. Of course I'm going to be coming to Toronto. All right, let's keep going here. Next up, we've got Andy who writes, 1 of 4. Last year, I told you that each month how many I remember that, how many original films I saw. And I was going to tell you at the end of June how much I saw in the first half of 2025. But I want to tell you now, I also understand that I have more access to movies as I go to AMC Orange 30. AMC Orange 30 is a great theater. I really like that theater. And the lack of marketing on them for a variety of reasons. I've seen 29 films that have come out in 2025 so far, and 17 of them, 58%, were original films. Last year, I saw 63 original films out of 109, which makes for almost 59%. So far, as to what I'm interested in seeing, the amount of original films is still consistent. I'm so glad you brought that up, Andy, because I've felt this way. I've felt this way for over a decade. Every day, somebody really pretentious comes along thinking it makes them sound elevated by going, "Oh, Hollywood doesn't make original films anymore. All Hollywood does now is make sequels and remakes. Hollywood doesn't do anything original anymore." To which you don't read, you don't actually look, you like statistics and facts don't actually mean anything, because here is the reality. Here is the fact. And you've heard me say this a million times. There is more original film made today than in any other time in Hollywood history. That is a statistical fact. More original film is made today than any other time in Hollywood history. Now, it is also true that there are more sequels made today than any other time in Hollywood history. That's absolutely correct. That there are more remakes probably made today than just about any other time in Hollywood history. That is also correct. The two things are both correct. Because overall, we have more film made today than any other time in history. But the fact is, the majority of films that get made today are originals. But film fans don't talk about originals as much. It's very rare that they do. It's rare that you get a film like Sinners come out, right? Like it's rare that happens. It's not all that often. Or when Megan, now we're getting the sequel, but Megan came out, Smile came out. A lot of the originals come from horror as well. But the reality is, y'all just don't go see them, right? Like we always talk about this. Our main communication to movie studios is not online petitions. Listen, God bless everybody who wants to get involved and wants to make a difference. I mean, it's different in other areas, but I'm talking about specifically in the movie world. Okay. I'm talking about movies, not other areas of real life. I'm talking about movies. God bless people who try to want to make a change by starting an online petition. Yeah, that'll make the studios do what I want them to do. No, it's not. The studios don't give two squirts of piss about your little petition. They don't care. They don't listen. That's not how you talk to the studios. How we talk, how the studios hear us is our money. That's how they hear us. They hear us when we talk with our money. And when the studios listen and they hear us as moviegoers go, we don't care about original films. Because when you don't buy movie tickets to original films, that's the message that studios hear. The message that studios hear is, we don't want to see original films because we didn't buy tickets. When we do buy tickets to Buck Chuck Henry and the Fabulous Asshammers 5, that's right. Buck Chuck Henry and the Fabulous Asshammers 5, a part of the big franchise. When the studios see us buying tickets to that, the studios hear us saying, we want more IP. We want more sequels. We want more franchises. That's what the studio hears. That's how we communicate with the studio, by what we do and do not buy. Listen to this. You can put this on a shirt if you want. This is not going to make you happy, but this is the truth. Studios hear and pay attention to what you do and do not buy. Studios do not pay attention to what you do and do not say. Let me say that again. The studios pay attention and hear you through what you do and do not buy. They do not pay any attention to you by what you do or do not say. I know that doesn't sound great. I know that doesn't sound ideal, but ladies and gentlemen, that's a fact. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. It is. It's a fact. Studios care about what you buy. They do not care about what you say. Studios care about what you do not buy. They don't care about by what you do not say. It's what you buy, not what you say. You know what a good example of that? Here's a great example of this. Remember when Conan O'Brien had the Tonight Show? I think it was the Tonight Show, and then it was getting taken away from him, right? And everybody got all mad. And I listen, I'm somebody who loves Conan O'Brien, okay? I love Conan O'Brien. But do you remember that a bunch of years ago? And they announced that they were taking the Tonight Show away from Conan O'Brien. I think it was the Tonight Show. Anyway. And everybody got mad and everybody signed petitions and everybody, what did it say on the shirt? I'm with Coco or something like that. I think everybody wore the shirts. I'm with Coco and blah, blah, blah. Everybody talked. Everybody talk. You know what they didn't do? They didn't watch Conan O'Brien hosting the Tonight Show. That's what it was. Team Coco. No, it wasn't I'm with Coco. Cord Cutter Cam. It was Team Coco, right? Talk. That's great. Everybody's talking. Oh, we love Conan. Oh, Team Coco. Everybody was, oh, yeah. And I love Coco. I love Conan O'Brien. Love him. But everybody talked and nobody watched. The reason they made the move they made is because the ratings were low. Studios care about what you buy. They do not care about what you say. And I don't like that's the way that it works. I kind of hate that that's the way that it works. But it is nonetheless the way that it works. And so, yeah, anyway, I'm really glad that you highlighted that, Andy, and like just highlight again that you went to go see all these movies, man. Like the majority of them are originals. The majority of them are originals. Anybody. Anyway. All right. Next up. Alex Von Gollum writes, the hand-to-hand combat between Cyril and Andor, I love that scene, reminded me of Paul versus Fayed Ratha in how realistic they felt. The shot of Andor jumping behind the desk with the barrage of gunshots was cinematic. You know, unlike the fight in Dune, which was very super high speed, choreographed beautifully, but still felt visceral, that was not the fight between Cyril and Andor. But it had that same sense of visceral feeling to it. You know what I mean? It still had that incredible feel to it that just felt amazing. And that's part of the reason why, even though it wasn't great choreographed fight like the Paul versus Harkonnen didn't have that level of choreography and that slickness, but it had every bit of the ferocity, it had every bit of that grounded feeling to it. And I think that's what elevated the fight so much. By the way, guys, I'm going to let you know, I should have turned them off a while ago. I am going to be turning off the super chats in a bit. So I'll leave them open for a few more minutes. If you do have any last minute super chats you want to get in, go ahead and fire them in, but I will be turning it off in a couple of minutes. Okay. Let's keep going here. Next up, that was Alex again writes in. I felt that Andor season 2, where am I at? I felt that Andor season 2 was the Dune part 2 of season 1 and how masterfully the execution was. An extraordinary accomplishment in filmmaking. Can't stop thinking about. 15 out of 10 for me. Yeah, listen, man. I 100% concur. I concur. I can't even really adequately put into words just how good Andor season 2. You know, I keep going back and watch bits of the series, And it keeps getting better and better the more I watch it. And I know when I said, I had some people give me a little bit of pushback who hadn't seen the whole thing yet, but I remember when I said, this is the best Star Wars ever made since the original trilogy. This is the best Star Wars ever made. Like, it's not even, like, I'm sorry, but it's not even close. It's not remotely close. And there's a number of Star Wars things that have come out since Return of the Jedi that I've quite enjoyed. Like, a lot. Some things I've really hated, just like everybody. Still a Star Wars fan. But Andor, it's just on a whole different level. It is so superior. It is such superior writing, superior directing, superior cinematography, superior editing, superior myth building. It's just superior to anything that's ever had the name Star Wars on it. Again, other than the original trilogy. And that's why I keep saying, man, do whatever you got to do, Bob Iger, to keep Tony Gilroy in the building. You do whatever you have to do. You give him whatever you need to give him, but you keep him in the building. You find a way. Anyway, thanks for that, Alex. Next up, Johnny Weiner writes, I'm one of the few who like the Book of Boba Fett. It's all subjective, man. If you like Book of Boba Fett, I give you the thumbs up. I'm glad that you did. The last episode saved it for me with he and Mando teaming up. The Rancor and Cad Bane live action was epic. Listen, even though I think the Book of Boba Fett is even worse than the Acolyte, and the Acolyte is terrible. Even though I think the Book of Boba Fett is even worse than the Acolyte, there are things about it that I quite enjoyed. You know, I hate the dumpster fire that is the Star Wars prequels. They're all big piles of dog shit. But I will defend harshly the Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul fight scene. I will defend harshly the pod race sequence, which I think is like one of the most thrilling sequences in all of Star Wars. I will defend the Yoda fight scenes. Yes, I like the Yoda fight scenes. Like, even though I hate those movies, there are things in them that I think are redeemable. Same with the Book of Boba Fett. I hate that show, but there were good things about it. One of the big problems, I think, with movie and TV fans today is they refuse to acknowledge anything negative in the things they love, and they refuse to acknowledge anything positive in the things they hate. And I like approaching a show that I hated and try to find the redeeming qualities in it. I do. Like, I hated The Acolyte. I hated that show. But it had its upside. I think it was the best hand-to-hand combat we've seen in anything Star Wars related. It had a couple of very good performances. Like, I'll give it its flowers where it deserves it. And Book of Boba Fett, you know, the stuff with Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett was actually quite strong. Like, the episode that Bryce Dallas Howard directed, I thought was quite good. I thought those were really good installments. Overall, I still thought the show sucked, but just because I thought the show sucked does not diminish or take away from how you felt about it. And if you liked it, man, I celebrate that. I celebrate that you liked it. I don't agree, but that's okay. I love that you enjoyed it, and that's the important thing. All right. Next up, we've got Johnny again who writes part 2, but I understand why others don't like the show. I mean, and that's good too, right? Like, I got some stuff that I hate, but I can understand why people would like it. And I got stuff that I love that I can understand why people wouldn't like it. That's called being a film fan, and why it's so important to understand the subjectivity of entertainment. All right. The Autonomous Penguin, I like the name, writes, it's extremely important for Fantastic Four to succeed. We have had 2 failed attempts, and if Marvel can't even nail Fantastic Four, then this is probably an unpalatable franchise. You know what? I was saying this the other day, Autonomous, on the last, I think it was the last episode of the John Campea show. Rob and I were talking, and I asked, I can't remember if I said or if I asked Rob, and I said, what does this say about Fantastic Four as a property if we have our fourth failure. And if you count the Corman one, the fifth failure. I leave the Corman one out, whatever. I'm going to put that aside, put the Corman one aside. But we had the original Fantastic Four ones with Jessica Alba, Michael Chiklis, Chris Evans. I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name who played Reed. Iona Faryarsha. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ion? Is that his? I don't know. I think he's great, but I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyway, so those films, and then they had the one with Michael B. Jordan, which, you know what? I'll defend Act 1 of that movie. I thought Act 1 of that movie was pretty good. The problem is it then had an Act 2 and an Act 3, which were not so good, but whatever. If we now go into a fourth film, you can't do it. I just wonder if that says something about Fantastic Four. I mean, just like David D is saying in the live chat right now, if Fantastic Four just belongs in the comics, just let Fantastic Four live in the comics and leave it there. So I don't know. It might be time to admit that if this one is bad as well. All right. Next up, we got Wayne who writes, "Hey, John, it sucks that the box office is tainted with stuff from China that doesn't follow the same system as other countries. For example, talking about highest animated movies from now on. Technically, it's NASA, but there's a big asterisk, and those numbers are doubtful. I wish websites like Box Office Mojo would take that into account or mention it." The problem is it's not their job to vet the information. So for those of you who haven't heard us talk about this, I'll just give you the quick overview. There's this animated film out of China called, forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, Naza 2, right? Where not many people around the world have gone to see it. Like, it hasn't done great box office anywhere else. And wherever it has done great box office, it's just been because people heard how successful it was, so they wanted to go see it. But here's the thing. China claims it's made like $2 billion. The problem is, and I'm making no definitive statements of fact here, okay? Let me just be clear about that. I'm making no definitive statements of fact. To me, the problem is every once in a while, some wild box office number comes out of China. Oh, this Chinese movie in China made $15 billion. Well, they've never said 15 billion, but you get the point, right? Made some like astronomical amount of money. And now they have this thing called Naza 2 that they claim is the highest grossing animated film of all time, highest grossing movie of the year, made $2+ billion. The problem and the reason why I am, to put it diplomatically, why I am very dubious of that is that China does not follow the same vetting or accounting processes to report their box office numbers. Every other country, I think every other country, if not the vast majority of every other country, has a very rigid, very strict process of vetting the information before it's officially then reported, and they all follow the same uniform vetting process done by Rentrack, is the name of the third-party company. But China has their own way of doing it. And again, I am making no statements of fact. I am simply just telling you, I don't personally trust any box office numbers that come out of China, particularly when it comes to Chinese-produced films. Really stunning. China is saying that this Chinese movie made more money than any other movie in the world. Again, I am making no statement of fact. I'm simply saying, to me, the fact that they don't follow the same vetting process as every other country, it makes me, I do not take any of their box office numbers seriously. And quite often, I just don't take them into account at all. So if someone were to ask me, what is the highest grossing animated film of all time? Well, the answer, I believe, is now Inside Out 2. It's not Naza 2, because I don't believe those numbers for a second coming out of China. Again, I'm not telling you how to think. You believe what you want to believe. I'm just telling you that's the way I look at it. Anyway. All right. Next up. Thanks for that, Wayne. Next up, Perry writes, as someone who's been in the movie industry, did any episode of the studio bring back memories of something you experienced in real life? Well, I mean, there was the one episode that I think everybody could associate with, the episode where he goes to that dinner with his girlfriend and he has to get into this argument about the importance of movies. I think all film fans have probably had that now or again. I am not going to say the studio. I'm not going to say the studio. But I'm convinced there was a CinemaCon in a previous year who a studio was there and may have had an old-fashioned Hollywood buffet likened unto the one they talk about in the movie, and may have thrown kind of a rager that I may have been invited to, where maybe almost everybody was high as fuck and hammered out of their gourds. And maybe everybody literally started fucking each other in various corners of the room and things. And maybe 3/4 of the studio staff all mysteriously ended up with COVID over the same weekend. I am neither confirming nor denying that such a despicable, unbecoming event happened in real life. I am neither confirming nor denying this. But I'll just say that episode, I think it was the second to last episode of the studio. Oh my God, that was very real. No Diddy stuff. Nobody was doing anything against other people's wishes or well-being or anything like that. It's just a pretty wild party. Again, I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying it happened. I neither confirm nor deny that happened. Anyway. So, but yes, I think an element of every episode of the studio rang uncomfortably true. Again, I'm not saying it happened. All right, next up, we got Billy who writes, will you go see The Matrix at Cosm in LA so we can live vicariously through you? By the way, Cosm, whoo, what a facility, man. What a facility. And if you watched one of the recent episodes of Welcome to Wrexham, they actually go to Cosm to watch. For those of you who don't know, Cosm, think of a sports bar. But the screen makes IMAX screens look like adorable little children. It's this massive engulfing screen that is mostly used for sporting events. And they put in their own 10K cameras. And when you're there watching in Cosm, you think you are there in the football stadium or in the basketball arena or wherever. Go look it up online, guys. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. From what I understand, they're also doing some, I'm going to see if I can find this thing. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. Cosm. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find this. I can see if I can find this little video that I made. Okay, let me bring this up here. And I'm going to try to mute it. Okay, let me see if I can bring this up. Oop, let me go over here. Look at that. Does that not look like you're actually there? Those people at the bottom of the screen, those people are in Cosm, but that's the screen they're looking at. Does that not make you feel like you're actually there? Again, we've gone there a couple of times to watch a couple of games, and it's a remarkable experience. So I've never thought about going to watch a movie there, though. And you know what? I don't think that I will. And here's why. I think there is a point when a movie screen is too big for a movie. It's one thing when you're watching a sporting event to do this. because you're watching all the events. You're looking all over the field or the court, and you're seeing players move up and down. And it's one thing in a sporting event to do this. I don't want to do that in a movie. I don't want to go, oh, if I want to see what's happening over here, I literally need to turn my head to see what's happening down there. Like, I don't think I want to do that. I want to be able to see the screen. That's why when you're in an IMAX theater, the bigger screen, you're a little bit further away from the screen because you can still see the whole screen, right? I don't know that I'd want to watch a movie that way. I mean, it might be a really neat experience, but I just don't know that I'd want to watch a movie that way. Anyway. All right. Next up, we've got, where are we going next? We're going to TJCS. 40 Days Till Superman, getting closer, dude. My most anticipated film of the year, Jai. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. All right, next up, we've got Sam Ash, who writes and sends in a $50 super chat. Thank you, Sam, so much for supporting us on that level, man. Really appreciate that, dude. By the way, just before I answer that question, like Tim is saying in the live chat, John, you need a Discord. No, I don't. We, you know, some of you may not know, we tried a couple of years ago launching Discord. Nobody really used it. Nobody used it. So we really don't need a Discord. Discord's great. Don't get me wrong. I am not trash talking on Discord at all. It's a great tool. It has its place, but we don't need it. We tried it and nobody used it. So yeah, we don't need a Discord. Anyway, let's get back over to the question, shall we? I just realized that Thunderbolts was released in May, aka Mental Health Awareness Month. I don't know if that was on purpose, but maybe it was. This makes the movie even more special. It's sad how people calling it a box office flop, and it's being pulled from theaters because of loss. What's your thoughts? First of all, I don't know who's going around saying that Thunderbolts is being pulled from theaters. First of all, it's going into its 5th week. Okay? Like, a lot of films don't make it past week 5, but it's going into its 5th week. And if you look up the most recent box office chart, Thunderbolts was still at number 4 in its 4th week and made about $10 million in its 4th week. Now, that is not blockbuster numbers, but it's still, and that's going now into its 5th week. Its 5th week. A lot of movies go to streaming now after 5 or 6 weeks, but it's going into its 5th week in over 3,100 theaters. Guys, after your 4th and 5th week, very few movies are still in 3,000 theaters. All right. So like if next week we look and it's gone from 3,000 to like 1,800 theaters, there are going to be people who try to go into, oh my God, it's being pulled from theaters. Guys, almost no movies stay in over 3,000 theaters after their 5th week. They just don't, because new movies are coming out every week. But as of this last round, Thunderbolts is still number 4 after 4 weeks in the theaters, still in over 3,100 things, and expect that number to drop. But every movie drops on the number of screens they're on after their 5th week. So, but what is unfortunate though, is that the movie deserved to do better. But again, it was a bunch of secondary leftover characters from some Disney Plus shows and 1 or 2 movies that they then put together into its own standalone movie. And it was coming off a very disappointing Captain America Brave New World. And there was just no reason to expect a lot of people were ever going to go to see it. Now, I guarantee you this. I will 100% ironclad guarantee this. If they ever make a Thunderbolts 2, that movie will make minimum $500 million. Like that movie, the box office will go up because now a lot of people have seen it. Over the coming months, more people will watch it on home video. The reputation of it will just continue to spread about how good the movie is. It'll go up. And it's going to be a huge hit on streaming. Not that that really means anything. But yeah, but this whole narrative of, oh my gosh, it's being pulled out of theaters. No, it's not. After 4 weeks, it's still on 3,000 screens. Hardly any movies are still on 3,000 screens after 4 weeks. And certainly after 5 weeks, the number of theaters they're in decrease because every single week new films are coming out that need the real estate. So don't worry about that narrative. But yes, the point is still made. Thunderbolts was a movie that deserved to do better. But that's the position Marvel put themselves in. No, Marvel has nobody to blame but themselves. They put themselves in a position where the reputation of the entire MCU is kind of one of mediocrity right now. They're trying to turn it around. And they knew that they weren't going to have a billion-dollar film on their hand when you make a movie made up of leftovers from other movies and other Disney Plus shows. So anyway, it is what it is, but it did deserve better. All right. Next up. Thank you, Sam, for supporting us on that level, man. Appreciate that, dude. The Autonomous Penguin also writes, my daughter wants her first cinema experience, the Gabby's Dollhouse movie. Pray for me, but I get to take my daughter to movies. That's what matters. You know what? It absolutely is. And man, I'll tell you what, I get it. Listen, I've seen trailers for movies that clearly are not meant for me, but I can still go, I can see how some people are going to like that. Or see a trailer for a kid's film that is clearly not for me, but I can go, yeah, I can get why kids are going to like that. Like, I'm not going to give it any attention. It doesn't look like it's for me at all, but I can see how it's for somebody else. There are two things, though, that I just don't understand. Two of the worst trailers I've ever seen are the Smurfs, the new one that's coming out, like just absolute gutter trash. And I say that as somebody who is very fond of the Smurfs. And this Gabby's Dollhouse thing, like, again, I don't know anything about the original stuff. All I know is the trailer for this movie. I've never seen anything Gabby's Dollhouse. I have no understanding of what it's supposed to be. I have no understanding of its fan base and all that kind of stuff. Okay. I'm acknowledging that right up front. But a trailer's still a trailer. And that trailer is one of the worst pieces of garbage I've ever seen. But you know what? Like you said, the important thing is you get to take your kid and have a shared experience going to see a movie that she wants to see. And that at the end of the day is the important thing, man. You're 100% right about that. All right. Next up, James Hoffman writes, did you see the new behind the scenes with Superman and the kids? I have not. David Cornsweet is so great with the kids. He just oozes kindness and charisma. I did not. Now, is that Superman? When you say that, is that Superman hanging out with kids? Or is that David Cornsweet, the actor, hanging out with kids? Like, is it a scene from the movie where Superman is hanging out with kids? Or is it literally a behind the scenes thing of David Cornsweet hanging out with kids? Benja TD is saying it's both. Really? Okay. So I'm taking it's a scene from the movie. And then after the camera stopped rolling, it's just him hanging out with the kids. The Mike Show is saying he was in the costume hanging out with the kids. Oh, that's kind of cool. No, I have not seen that yet myself. I will look forward to seeing it, but I have not seen it yet myself. Okay, guys. You know what we're going to do right now? We still have more questions to get to. Let me make sure I'm going to be able to pull up all the new questions that have been sent in. I believe I will be able to. Yeah, we still have a bunch of questions we got to get to here. And we're going to get to those. But before we do any more or anything else, I need to take a bathroom break because we've been doing this for an hour and a half now. And I need to get on and get a bathroom break. So I'm going to run and take a bathroom break. You guys take a few minutes, talk amongst yourselves, grab something to eat, go use the bathroom yourself if you need to, hang on tight, and we will be right back. Hopefully this works. All right, guys, and we are back. Thank you so much for your patience and indulgence while I not only ran to go use the bathroom, because again, we've been going for like well over an hour and a half now, but I also went to go top up my drink. Give me a second while I do that. And let's keep things going here and get picked right back up with your questions. I think the next one up here is Daniel Yavnik. And Daniel Yavnik writes, do you know by chance what are the best cinemas in London? Oh, my friend, no. I have, by chance, I've never been to London. You know what? I would love to go to London. I would love to go to London. You know, Anne, my wife, was just recently in London. Her like best friend, her boyfriend, Kaori, and you guys, I've had Kaori on the show before. Some of you will remember Kaori. Anyway, her boyfriend that she's been dating now for like, gosh, I want to say like 5 years, is AEW wrestler and former WWE color commentator, Nigel McGuinness. And so Nigel, not too long ago, was wrestling in AEW's big event at Wembley Stadium. And so Anne went over with Nigel and Kaori. I couldn't go. I was busy. And she went over and got to visit London and hang out in London and go to the big AEW event at Wembley Stadium and cheer on Nigel. And yeah, but I have myself never been to London, and I would love to go to London. We've actually, you know what the funny thing is? I've always had a lot of viewers of the John Campea show from the UK. And I've always wanted to go there and do a big fan meet and greet, but no, the only London thing I've ever been in is London, Ontario. That's it. All right. Next up. Let's see here. Next up, we've got Bales. Or is that, I can't tell. Is that Balls or Bales? I'm going to go with Bales. Started a weekend cinema tradition with my mom. Saw Sinners and Bring Her Back. Nice. Aussie twins might be horror's next big thing. Will you be seeing it? Yeah, I do. Like, I wasn't originally planning on seeing Bring Her Back. Like, I remember they showed us a presentation for it at CinemaCon. And frankly, I didn't think it looked all that good. I didn't think that the presentation we saw looked all that good. But I'm hearing really great things about it. I'm hearing really great things about it. And so I am definitely going to go. Now, I'm not going to go tonight. Ann and I have big plans tonight. But hopefully in the next couple of days, I'm going to go over and see that because, again, I'm hearing really good things about it. All right. Next up, we got Nicholas, who writes, are you going to visit Epic Universe in Orlando? Oh, my friend. They actually have a dark universe world that is based on the franchise they were trying to start. I'll tell you what. My wife, Ann, is a huge Potterhead, right? Huge Potterhead. And so obviously she wants to go visit the Wizarding World there. And we've watched tons of videos. Guys, the new How to Train Your Dragon movie that's coming out, the live action one, it's awesome. I've seen it, the whole movie. They showed us the whole movie at CinemaCon. I had some doubts, but both me, Rob, Ann, Ray, Cody, we all loved it. It's so good. Go and see it when it comes out in theaters. But John, I've already seen How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah. But it's a different medium. And being in a different medium, it's a different experience. Even though the story's the same, it's just a different experience. And all I can say is it's wonderful. Go see it. Anyway. So because it's so great, I do kind of want to visit the How to Train Your Dragon world and all that kind of stuff. So remember a little bit earlier in the show, we were talking about the van that we're getting. Absolutely one of our first trips is going to be driving across the country and going to Florida so we can go to the new Epic Universe at Universal. It is absolutely one of our first trips. We'll probably do that sometime in September or October. So like for a full week, I'll be doing shows from the road. You know, again, the show will be broadcast from here in the studio with Jonathan and Rob, but I'll be joining the show remotely from the van. But yeah, we are absolutely going to go. I'm very excited to see it. It looks fantastic and I can't wait to see it. All right. Next up, we've got Sci-fi extremist who writes, any advice on someone wanting to get into screenwriting / get their scripts read? I know there are contests, but maybe you know of other avenues. All right, here's the reality. I hate it when I have to be the wet blanket of reality, but here's the reality. Nobody is going to read your scripts. That's just it. There is this belief out there that, if I write the script, I just got to find the right person to send it to. How do I send my Star Wars script to Kathleen Kennedy? Right? Here's the reality. Studios and producers, the vast majority of them, do not accept unsolicited scripts. They just don't. They can't, because they have to defend themselves. They have to protect themselves legally. Because if they even let you send them scripts, what happens in 8 years if they happen to make a movie that is kind of similar to a script that you sent them once, even though they don't even remember your script or maybe even never read it? You go, hey, wait a minute. I sent you a script that had these similarities. I'm suing you, right? So the studios and a lot of these producers, they have, a lot of them, the vast majority of them, have a very hard rule that they do not accept unsolicited scripts. Well, how do you get a script read? They will receive scripts from literary agents. The first big thing you have to do, and it's not easy, man, it's hard. Ask any actor about actually getting a legitimate agent. It's hard getting a legitimate agent. And it's even harder for writers. But you have to get picked up by a reputable, good literary agent. And then literary agents can take your work, and they have the access and avenues to getting your scripts read by the right people. But it's hard, man. It's hard. And you got to keep in mind that in trying to get picked up by a literary agent, there's going to be 50 aspiring writers competing for every one available spot that a literary agent may have on their roster. So that means you have to be great. Like, you've got to be really good. So the best advice I can give is keep working on your craft. Keep working on your craft. Become the best you can be, and then write shit that an agent just can't say no to. That a literary agent just can't say no to. And listen, I know everybody wants to write their fanfic. Do not make it fan fiction. Do not make it a Star Trek spec script. Do not make it a Star Wars spec script. Do not make it a Marvel spec script. Write something original, and then write something else, and then write something else, and get better and better and better. Because again, you may think it's great, but when you submit it to a literary agent, they're going to be comparing it to 100 other aspiring writers, and most of them might be and probably will be better than you. So just become as good as you can. Again, I'm not a professional writer. I mean, I've written some scripts. I've even had a script of mine optioned before. I've turned my own script into something. I've had somebody else turn a script of mine into something. But I am not a pro writer by any stretch of the imagination. So my best advice is just make sure you are better than everybody else. Because it's a limited amount of opportunities for people. And for you to get one of those opportunities, you got to deserve it more than everybody else. And it's tough, man. It's tough. But it's exciting. It's also exciting. I think if you're pursuing that, that's exciting. All right. Next up, Tom Weinberg writes, I turned 30 in 10 days. Happy early birthday to you, my friend. It's stupid to be worried about that, but I am. Suddenly I'm 30 already. Do you remember what that was like for you? For me, the worst birthday for me was 20. And I don't know why, but for me personally, I had almost like a midlife crisis turning 20. Because, and I'm not saying it's rational, for whatever reason, I took it very hard that I was no longer a teenager. I don't know why. There was just something about that blanket term, teenager, that made me feel like I was still just starting my life and all the world is in front of me. And it also kind of feels like I have an excuse for any stupid mistakes I make because I'm a teenager. And for whatever reason, turning 20 was tough for me. The whole idea that I'm no longer a teenager. Every birthday since 20 to me has just been the same. But yeah, turning 20 was a hard one for me. So 30's easy, man. 30's easy. But yeah. And you know what? I often tell people this too. I didn't get into law until after I was 30. I didn't start my entire YouTube career. I didn't start my whole movie blogging career until I turned 30. I didn't meet the love of my life until I was in my 30s. So, I talk to a lot of people sometimes who are like, John, I just feel like I'm 28 or I'm 31 or whatever. And I feel like I haven't accomplished anything with my life. And what I would always want to tell them is like, dude, I never even really had my true career path till I was in my 30s. I didn't meet the love of my life until I was in my 30s. The 30s is just a starting. Like, as far as I'm concerned, 30 is your starting blocks. 40s can be your starting blocks. 50s can be your starting blocks. But yes, the one for me that was hard was turning 20 just because I wasn't a teenager anymore. All right. Rylan writes, are you tuning into Netflix's To Dumb event? No, probably not. Tonight. I'm excited for Stranger Things season 5 teaser. No, I've never watched any of the, let me rephrase. I've never tuned in to watch any Netflix To Dumb events. But I certainly have watched segments of it afterwards, like the next day. So I am absolutely interested in like what's coming out of the To Dumb event, but I don't feel like I need to tune in and watch it live. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same thing for the Golden Globes, not the Golden Globes, but like the Critics' Choice Awards, which I think have lost a lot of their relevance and lost a lot of their validity, but whatever. But I'm still kind of interested in the results. I'm not going to waste my time tuning in and watching the Critic Awards, the Critic Choice Awards, but I'm interested in finding out what comes out of it. So I'll pay attention to what the results were later. Same with the Emmys. I don't really watch the Emmys, although I'm very interested in the results of the Emmys. So I'm going to be very curious to see what comes out of To Dumb, but I'm probably not going to have any time to sit down and watch it. Let's see. All right. Next up, we've got Wolf AJ, who writes, "Hey, John, this is my first super chat. Well, thank you for writing in, man. Appreciate that. This is my first super chat question. Do you think we'll see another wrestling movie like Iron Claw? I would love a Bret Hart / Montreal Screwjob or Eddie Guerrero, both amazing wrestlers, bring on the filthy." Here's the problem. Okay. And I will bring this up right now. The problem is the movie you just mentioned, which is Iron Claw. Iron Claw was a really good movie. It's a really good movie. It's got depth. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, it's got that history, but also just the human story of it is fantastic. And that movie worldwide made $45 million. Worldwide, Iron Claw made $45 million. In other words, as Grant H. puts it, no one saw it. No one saw it. It was a wonderful, I think probably should have gotten a little bit of Oscar love. Like it's just that good of a movie. It was really wonderful. Not best picture worthy, but it was a great movie. And it made worldwide $45 million. Nobody saw it. Now, obviously, a Bret Hart today would be a little bit more of a draw than like the Von Erich family today. Today, the Montreal Screwjob is a more compelling story than maybe the story of the Von Erich family today, because we're closer to it. But I think anybody who comes into a studio with that pitch. By the way, Eli Guzman just gifted a membership. Thank you for doing that, Eli. Appreciate that, man. If you're going to go into a studio and pitch it, the first thing they're going to ask is, what proof do you have anybody is going to come and see this movie? Because they made an awards caliber movie in Iron Claw with one of the most famous families in wrestling, and nobody went to go see it. Had some big stars in there. Big stars in there. And nobody went to go see it. And you're going to have a very, very hard time convincing us somebody that's got to write the checks to invest money into making it. And so while I would definitely go to see a movie about the story of the Montreal Screwjob, I would definitely be there. I think I would be in an empty theater. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, when I see what happened with other stuff, it doesn't. And by the way, let me look this up too. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know off the top of my head. What did The Wrestler do? The Mickey Rourke, great movie. Okay. Don't look it up, guys. That classic that everybody knows, the Mickey Rourke movie, The Wrestler. You know how much money that movie made? $44 million worldwide. $44 million worldwide. Iron Claw, awards caliber wrestling movie, 40-something million dollars. The Wrestler, awards caliber, did get some nominations. Awards caliber movie about professional wrestling, 40-something million dollars. Would a Bret Hart Montreal Screwjob movie make more than that? Yes. But would it make a lot more than that? I don't see any proof suggesting that it will. So it would be very, very difficult to get that made, I think. Anyway, good question though, Wolf. All right. Rich Retro writes, if Spidey is in Secret Wars, do we think he attains his black suit? I don't care. Who cares? I don't know. Listen, I do think Spider-Man will be in Secret Wars. And I think he will kind of embody his role and the role in the comic story of Miles Morales. I think he'll kind of be both pulled into one character. But I don't think he'll have the black suit in it. Again, to me, it's completely irrelevant what suit he's wearing. But I do think we're going to see him in it. I don't know if he's going to, it sounded like he's not in Doomsday, but regardless of if he's in Doomsday or not, I 100% that he absolutely believe that he's going to be in Secret Wars. All right. Next up. Thanks for that, Rich. Next up, we got Abe Torres, who writes, if we're going to have the pairs in Doomsday, like Infinity War, then I want Ant-Man and Red Guardian talking about dad stuff and their daughters being heroes. Well, I mean, listen, you're talking about two of my favorite characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because as bad as Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was, and it was bad, I still love the Ant-Man character, particularly the Ant-Man character played by Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd in the MCU, and I love Red Guardian. David Harbour's Red Guardian has become, in a very short period of time, because all we've had is him in Black Widow, which wasn't that great of a movie, and Thunderbolts, which is a great movie. He's become one of my favorite characters in the MCU. So yes, I'm with you. I would love to see like a 3-minute fathers conversation between Paul Rudd and Red Guardian, David Harbour. I would love to see that. I think that would be great. All right. Next up, we got Tim, who writes, John, will a live action Captain Canuck movie ever get made? No chance. There's just not a broad enough appeal. You can't, again, kind of like the same thing with wrestling. You're not going to be able to convince a producer to put up that money to make a movie like that when probably nobody will go see it. So I'm going to guess no, unless it's like a low budget YouTube movie or something. All right. Anthony C writes, are you a ramen guy? I kind of am. I'm not a hardcore ramen guy, but I kind of am. If so, any good spots by you? I believe they're a chain, but there's several really good individual restaurants that Ann has taken me to that I really like. But as far as a good chain goes, Silver Lake Ramen I think, let me just pull that up to see if that's the actual name. Silver Lake Ramen. I think that's the name of it. Yes. Silver Lake Ramen is kind of a chain. They have different locations around. I know at least the LA, or I don't know if they're all around the country or not, but Silver Lake Ramen is a good ramen place. I really do like it. All right. But I am no ramen expert, okay? Just to be clear, I'm not a ramen expert, but I know Silver Lake Ramen is really good. All right, next up, David Coca writes, "Hey, John, I know you don't watch the reality show Survivor. I mean, I used to watch it back in season 1 and 2 when I was a kid, but not really since. But did you hear Marvel producer Nate Moore is going to be on this coming season in the fall?" I did not hear that. That is interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Like, is it going to be like a celebrity one? Or is he just happened to be on it? Have they ever done, again, I don't follow this stuff. I don't watch Amazing Race. Again, I'm not crap talking these shows. I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying I don't watch them. That's all. I don't watch Amazing Race. I certainly don't watch anything with the word Kardashians in it. I don't watch Survivor or whatever, but have they ever done like a full celebrity Survivor? If they did, I would. No, they're saying no, he's just a regular contestant on it. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'll have to check that out and see how he does. It'll be the first time in like 20 years since I've watched, or however long it's been. All right. Next up, we got Aper. Anyway, who writes, "I respectfully disagree. Phase 4 has been fair to good, which is exactly what I expected after the Thanos arc. I wish Feige had set more realistic expectations so audiences would have known that." But here's the thing. You say you disagree, but what you just said is exactly in line with what I said. Fair to good is not where the MCU used to be. The MCU used to put out great film after great film after great film. Yeah, every once in a while there's a little road bump like Thor 2 or Iron Man 2. But other than a couple of little road bumps like that, they just consistently great film after great film after great film after great film. And lately, in your own words, man, fair to good. And some of them not even that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you liked Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, awesome. I do not think that was fair to good. It was below that. I don't think Captain America: Brave New World was fair to good. It was below that. But even that being said, the very fact that you yourself are saying, hey, all these films since Endgame have been fair to good, that's not what it used to be. That is a distinct step downwards. Because it used to be banger after banger after banger. And now it's fair to good. It's fair to good. And some of them aren't even that. I'm sorry, Echo was not fair. It was below that. Secret Invasion was not fair. It was below that. I guess Moon Knight was fair. To me, it was a little bit below that, but whatever. Anyway, so fair to good proves my point. And some of it wasn't even that. So I don't know if you actually disagree with me as much as you think. Maybe it's just semantics that we're playing with here. Look, here's the important thing. If you have enjoyed and had a good time and positive experiences with the MCU overall over the past couple of years, that's awesome. And I'm not trying to take any of that away from you at all. The most important thing is if you enjoyed it, had a positive experience. I can only speak from my own perspective, and from my own experience and perspective, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad so far. And fair to good is a big step down from constantly great. That's the only point I'm trying to make, man. That's the only point I'm trying to make. Fair to good is a step down from constantly great. All right. Thanks for sending that in, man. And I appreciate you sharing your point of view on that, dude. All right. Terrence Fisher writes, what's the software you use to put comments on the screen? I use a service like this. Let's see. I'm trying to find Tim Mattos of Pacers. So like this. I use a system called Social Stream Ninja. It's a software called Social Stream Ninja. And I love this Ninja company. They also do a thing called VDO Ninja that I like to use quite a bit. They're a wonderful company. I've tipped and all their stuff is free. I've tipped a bunch of money to them over the years. I need to tip more because they put out great product. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little complex. It's a little complex and a little finicky and a little hard to get running and operating. But it's the main reason we were delayed getting the show because I couldn't get it to work properly. So it doesn't always function for us, but it's a really good service, and that's what we use. All right, hopefully that helped, Terrence. All right, next up, we've got Brad who writes, with Doomsday moved to December of 2026, do you think Disney moves Mandalorian to its spot? GTA 6 would be up against Mando late May. Tough competition. You know what? I used to believe that. I used to believe that X massive video game coming up is going to have a big impact on people watching a show that night or going to a movie that weekend. And over the past 15 years, every time I've believed that as well with everybody else, I've every single time been proven wrong. A lot of people are going to be getting GTA. But what history has shown was that if people have a movie they want to see, they have no problem still going to the movie and then coming back and playing the game, or playing the game and then going to see the movie and coming back and playing the game again. Again, there have been several times over the years where like some big, massive game was coming up and everybody said, oh, and I believed it. Like I was part of the people going, yeah, man, oh, you shouldn't open a movie on that weekend, or you shouldn't have your TV show air that week or whatever. And every single time kind of got proven wrong. Here's the thing. People don't have to pick. They get to do both. They don't have to pick. Do I play GTA that Saturday or do I go to the movie that Saturday? Look at that. I can do both. And while there are absolutely going to be some people that decide I'll get the game later because I really want to see this movie, or I'll go see that movie next week because I really want to play the game and only play the game this weekend. There will absolutely be some people like that, but history has shown that I've been wrong, that people will do both. And because there have been movies and TV shows that have come out on weekends of massive, massive games, and they've done great. So, number one, I don't think Mandalorian's going to move. I think they've got a good spot for it and they want to keep it where it is. And number two, I don't think anybody's going to move their release dates to avoid GTA. Not because they're not worried about GTA, but because history has shown that people will do both. Now, maybe this will be the exception, and maybe this will be the one that changes things. It's possible, but I've thought that before and I've been wrong every time. So I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. All right. Next up, we've got the Jughead writes, greetings, John. Looking forward to the Fantastic Four. Me too. Marvel better get it right or it's clobbering time. Love and respect from the UK, brother. Appreciate that. And yeah, listen, again, if they don't nail this, they got a world-class cast. They got a great director. They've got the first family of comics. They've had a lot of previous failures in Fantastic Four, Fantastic Four 2, the Michael B. Jordan Fantastic Four, even the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. They have a lot of previous failures that they can learn lessons from. If they crap the bed on this, no one should ever make another Fantastic Four movie. Sorry. But if they crap the bed on this, nobody should make another Fantastic Four movie ever. All right. Next up, James Wheeler sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, James. Appreciate the support, man. And James writes, hello, John. I've been watching for 10 years as of October. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I know you've been around for a long time. I've heard you respond to this before, but I wanted to know what your favorite book of theology is. I'm in the process of reading St. Augustine's Confessions. There are a lot of, I won't spend a lot of time on this because I know not most people watching this show are not all that interested in it. There's a lot of stuff by the great theologians of history and a lot of the early church fathers and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, one of my favorite books, and I don't even theologically agree with everything in it, but the way it was written and it was very thought-provoking to me. There was a book by a theologian by the name of J.I. Packer called Knowing God. And that was a very profound book to me. Today I don't agree with everything in it, but that's okay. I don't read books just so I can agree with everything in them. But it was a book for me that was a very thought-provoking book. It was a very pivotal book for me that sent me down certain avenues in my own theological thoughts and my own theological questions. And it was just a very profound book for me. So that's the one for me. And I think it was written sometime it's a very recent book, theology wise. I think it was written sometime in the early 1980s. But that was the book for me. All right. Thanks for the question, man. I appreciate that, James. Next up, Don Juan writes, I wonder where you got Captain America for Rotten Tomatoes 69. If Rotten Tomatoes have it at a critic of 48. Oh, 48. Okay. And audience score at 78. And why do you include critic scores, not audience scores? Oh, okay. That's a good question. Well, it might have been an old number that I pulled out from an old thing. So if I gave the wrong number on that, my apologies. The point is I didn't like the movie very much. The reason I often don't count or will rarely count audience scores. For critic scores, let's say there's a Harry Potter movie, right? Critics who are into Harry Potter, aren't into Harry Potter, lukewarm and agnostic about Harry Potter, like those types of things, dislike those types of things, they all go because that's their job. They're critics, right? And to get a critic score is great because you're getting the impression from even people who don't normally like that sort of thing. Like, for example, when you get a movie like, let's just use Thunderbolts because it's recent. When it's 88%, that means it's 88% even from a lot of critics who don't like comic book movies. And yet it's still got an 88%. Now, when you talk about audience scores, I don't bring him up as much unless it's an unusually extremely high audience score or an extremely unusually low audience score. Those are the only times I really like to talk about audience scores, because if you're talking about a Harry Potter movie, and again, you don't have to agree with me, this is just my own personal philosophy. When you're talking about a Harry Potter movie, fans are different than critics. Because with the critics, even all the ones who don't like Harry Potter, aren't into the young adult novel books, aren't into that sort of thing, they still go and then they give their impression. And if they liked it, that says something. With audiences, it's generally people going to the Harry Potter movie that are already into Harry Potter. For Marvel movies, you're generally getting people only going who are into Marvel movies. Was that Marvel movie good enough to even win over audiences who don't like Marvel movies? It's hard to tell because generally speaking, people who aren't into Marvel movies aren't going to Marvel movies, so they can't be a part of that. So that's why I only normally will bring up and talk about audience scores when they're unusually extremely high or they're unusually extremely low. To me, a much better gauge about telling an audience, hey, will you is it likely that you may like or not like this movie? I don't want to take the number from people who are already predisposed to liking Harry Potter. I'd rather take it from the number where some of them like Harry Potter, some of them don't like Harry Potter. What did they think of the movie overall? And if they come back with like a 92% critic rating, and that's from critics who don't like Harry Potter, that says more to me than an audience score. Like if the audience score is like 95, I'll talk about that. But an audience score of like, say, 80 from an entire group of people that are predisposed to liking Harry Potter. Again, that's just a personal philosophy of mine of how I approach it. So yeah, when I talk about scores, I will mostly 95% of the time just talk about the critic scores, because these are unbiased, have no dog in the fight, don't care if the movie's good or not. They just go watch the movie and then report on whether or not they found it to be a good movie or not, rather than the audience scores, again, unless they're unusually high or unusually low, who are already predisposed to liking that content. Yeah, so I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, discard audience scores at all. You guys hear me talk about audience scores sometimes on the show, but I don't, they're not my first go-to, because it's a tainted sample group, because they are predisposed to wanting to see it and wanting to like it and already into that thing. Thus they buy the ticket and go. Whereas critics, they don't give a shit, right? They don't care. They don't have to be a Potter fan or an MCU fan or a Star Trek fan or a Star Wars fan. Their job is to go watch it and then just give an opinion if they thought it was good or not. Again, that's not me saying that's how you should approach it. Not at all. But you asked me, why do I often talk about the critic scores and not the audience score? The answer is because I find the critic score much more reliable, because they don't have a dog in the fight. They don't care if the movie's good or not. Whereas with audience scores, it's mostly being voted on by people who are predisposed to enjoying it. Again, you don't have to look at it the same way at all. I'm not trying to make a point. You just asked me why I do it a certain way. That's why I personally do it a certain way. It's a good question though, man. All right. Next up, we've got the Jughead again, who writes, "You cannot retire, John. You're too young, bro." Oh, I know, but that's part of the reason why I want to retire. I want to retire young. I want to retire when I can still do all the things I want to do. Anyway, besides, we will miss your Stone Banks Expendables 3 and Author Jensen Ned Beatty Network rants. LOL. More love and respect from the UK, bro. Appreciate that, man. And yeah, listen, because of the new sponsorship deal that we got offered and was quite frankly too good for us to pass up, I am now not retiring this year. It will probably sometime next year. So we sign a new 1-year deal in, we haven't signed the deal yet, but we are. We're going to be signing the new deal in, I think June. June is when we sign the new deal. We've already committed to it, but we can't officially sign it until June. And it will be for a minimum of 1 year. So I will, at the very minimum, still be doing this by June or July of next year, probably about 18 more months. So I was going to be retiring somewhere between Superman and the end of 2025, but now that's going to be a lot longer. But yeah, listen, I get a lot of people asking me like, why do you want to retire? Do you not love your job? No, I love my job. I love what I do. Guys, listen, for many years, I've been able to create my own job. That's crazy, man. I am still frankly amazed by the fact that I literally got to create my own job and create my own business. And even crazier than that, I've been able to pay other people to come in and do this too. Like I've been able to pay Rob so he can do this, and pay Jonathan and over 3 years, whether I was like running a team at AMC or Collider, or whether I'm doing it on my own. Like I've been able to make my own living, and I've been able to buy a house and buy my cars and put my wife through school with her very expensive 2 master's degrees and now her doctorate. My wife is now Dr. Ann Campea. But I've been able to do that, and it's been amazing. I love what I do, but I've done it for a long time. And I just know, I've felt this way for like the last 10 years. I've always known that there's so much I want to do that I absolutely was not going to retire when I was in my 60s. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's great. But I mean, for me, I've wanted to retire well before that so that I can do a lot of the things that I would like to do. Now, fortunately, with the way technology is today and with this retirement thing that Ann and I were getting with the van, I'm going to be able to continue to do a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do in retirement and still do the show. So that's great. It's like a best of both worlds thing. I'm super excited about it. So I'll do like, 3/4 of the shows I'll do from here in the studio, maybe 1 week a month or a week and a half a month. I'll be on the road and I'll just remote into the show, whatever. But it's just like a best of both worlds thing for me. But again, the key thing to me is I've always wanted to retire when I could do more of the things that I want to do. And so anyway, that's just me. That's all. But again, I'm going to be around for a while longer now, so don't worry about it. All right. Next up, we've got Black Chuck Henry and the fabulous Butt Hammers. Just puts in a super chat badge to be supportive. Yeah, that was a good one from earlier on the show. All right, guys, and that's it for all the remember I turned off the super chats about an hour ago. That's it for all the super chats that we have in, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now, guys. I'm going to take a few more minutes. If you have a question for me, and I'm not going to answer all of them. I'm just going to pick out a couple, but if you got a question for me, type in all capital letters question, and then your question. That way I know you're asking me a question, and I'll just pick out a couple here for you. Let's see. Q is asking, what is your favorite Star Wars book? I picked up Tarkin. Tarkin is great. And reading Book of Sith, which is written through Palpatine's eyes with Luke commenting in the margins, disagreeing with Palpatine. There's a couple of really great ones. If we're talking about that are in canon, so like not the Thrawn trilogy, like the Heir to the Empire trilogy stuff, Tarkin is up there. Lost Stars by Claudia Gray is fantastic. But Lords of the Sith might be my favorite one. It's about, long the story it is, the Emperor and Vader crash land on this hostile planet and have to survive. And it's great. So I would say you won't go wrong with any of Lost Stars, Tarkin, and Lords of the Sith. Those are all really, really great books that I really like. Let's see. Watson says, Stranger Things trailer should be tonight. Excitement levels. Not that high. I like Stranger Things. I really like the last season. I like Stranger Things. But I'm not a hardcore fan. Like it's not like I'm counting down to the show returning. I'm definitely going to watch it. And I definitely like the show, but I'd be lying to you if I said I was super excited about it, but I am very curious to see the new trailer. Let's see here. N Falls writes, have you seen the great Andor Nielsen numbers for the first 2 weeks? I have not seen those. Right around now is when those Nielsen numbers should be coming out. So no, I haven't seen them yet, but I'm going to have to go and check them out now. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Let's see. Question, were you ever a big comic reader? Absolutely. Before the movies got more mainstream. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I particularly, I read as many comics as all my friends did, but I really got into getting deep into comics when for a bunch of years I lived with my buddy Rodney. Some of you might remember Rodney. He was like one of the early guys on the movie blog with me. And when I started Jedi Council, he was like one of the guys on there as well a couple of times. Anyway, my buddy Rodney still lives up in Canada. I remember when I moved in with him, and I've never known anybody that had this big of a comic book collection. Like he just had, the box crates for comic books. What do they call those boxes? I can't even remember what they're called, but he had box after box after box after box after, like he just had libraries. I don't think that dude ever threw a comic book away. Short boxes, long boxes, that's what it's called. I don't think he ever threw a comic book away. And he would go every week and get his pulls and all that kind of stuff. So I remember I was already reading a bunch of comics at the time, but moving in with Rod, I was able to like dig deep into like comics I'd never read and really go back into all the deep stories. Like I remember for a while, I really got into Excalibur and all those sorts of things. So yeah, I used to read. Now I haven't read nearly as many comics in the last 5 years. The comics that I've read in the last 5 years have been very I've read here. I've been reading some of the new Spider-Man stuff, which has been really good. Definitely picked up New 52 when it got going and all that kind of stuff, but I don't read them nearly as much as I used to. But yes, a lot of them. I used to read them a lot. Let's see. Take a couple more. Let's see. Mike Hill writes, do you consider John Wick to be the last successful original movie that turned into a franchise? Did Conjuring come out? What came first, Conjuring or the first John Wick? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I'm terrible with dates. Conjuring definitely was a good one that did that. I mean, most recently, Megan. I mean, Megan 2 is going to make more than Megan 1. It's already, I think, I know it's hard to say because the second one hasn't come out yet, but I think the second one's going to do pretty well. At least a little drop went down the wrong pipe. Sorry, guys. Megan's going to do well. So no. And remember, the first John Wick movie did not make that much money. The first John Wick movie did not make that much money. But yeah, I think it's one of them, but I don't think it's the only one. More coughing. Sorry. Let's see what's next here. Where are we? We're at, Rate writes, what's the last single player game you played through? That would be, Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm playing it again. I haven't started playing it again yet, but I'm about to start playing Baldur's Gate 3 again. I haven't played it in a while, so I'm going to be playing that. I think that's the greatest video game of all time. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is the single best video game of all time. And what's really great about it is there's no micro purchases. There's no well, you can get things to add to the game, but nothing you have to pay for. You buy the game and that's it. You've got the game. God, I wish they would get more back to that. I really do. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me on this Saturday afternoon. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did, and everybody involved with the John Campea Show, guys. Thanks you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again on Monday for the next installment of the John Campea Show. And to everybody who was around earlier, my big apologies that we had to start the show and then stop it and restart it with the technical stuff. Thank you so much for your patience as I tried to fight my way through all the technical issues. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I cannot wait to see you all again on Saturday, or on Monday, I should say. So that'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.